Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are scrambling this Wednesday morning after Donald Trump's disastrous, I guess you want to call it, a rally at a small banquet hall in Pennsylvania last night, where he said affordability is a hoax. There was a secret meeting that was held earlier this morning in Congress with the MAGA Republican senators and Congress members trying to come up with a health care plan that they've promised since Donald Trump's first term. But yes, you guessed it, Republicans have left this morning saying there will be no concrete health plan for a vote by the Christmas time, but many expressed hope that it would emerge soon. I want to talk about what else is happening this morning. A reminder, make sure you're subscribed to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel. We're on our way to 6 million subscribers. As I'm sure you've heard, this YouTube channel is under attack by the Trump regime and state regime media known as Fox. They want us shut down. So please show your support by subscribing. You may think you're subscribed, but just double check that you actually are subscribed. So what's Donald Trump doing as these MAGA Republicans were scrambling, holding secret meetings this morning? Donald Trump is attacking Mexico. Yes. Attack Mexico, attack migrants, attack the trans community. It's kind of like a playbook here. Donald Trump goes, Mexico must take care of its water and sewage problem immediately. It is a true threat to the people of Texas, California, and the United States of America. Well, I mean, you had the president of Mexico. She was here. You could do diplomacy the normal way. She was here last week when you were awarding yourself fake peace prizes. Why don't you just conduct yourself like a grown-up and an adult and stop reposting things like the following, which he reposted this morning as well. There's never been a president that has worked as hard as me. And this is the post where he goes on to say, anybody who talks about my health declining or that I'm slowing down, I view it as treason, and I will go after you as though you are a treasonous traitor. You may want to look in the mirror, Donald, about who you are, okay? Then I want to talk about the following, because then the MAGAs go on CNBC and you have a MAGA host, Joe Kiernan, who says MAGA Mike Johnson is refusing to go on his show until there is a healthcare plan. So MAGA Mike saying he's not even going to go and talk about things on a MAGA-friendly show right now until there is a healthcare plan. Here, play these clips.
It doesn't seem to be moving, because I think, when we were trying to get them on, and there was more or less the idea that, well, when we have something, we'll be on, and it should be I think it was supposed to be by the end of either last week or this week. But
well, that was the commitment of the Senate to do that. But this problem is created by the Democrats.
Next, MAGA Mike Johnson. Instead of going on the show, though, MAGA Mike held a bizarre presser early this morning where he says that it's former President Biden's fault for breaking the economy, and we've inherited a really bad economy, and that's what's going on here. Actually, Biden handed you a strong economy. It was a Goldilocks economy, as some economic papers called it, media companies called it. It was the envy of the world, quite frankly. You had inflation going down. You had jobs being created, 16 million jobs created. All Donald Trump had to do was basically keep this thing on autopilot. But instead, Donald Trump, the arsonist, just blew it all up. But here's what MAGA Mike would rather do than actually, speak to the American people candidly. Here, play this clip.
That the Biden administration and their Democrat enablers in Congress, we cannot forget, wrecked the U.S. economy. That's what happened. And we had to take it over in January. This is why Democrats' newfound claims about affordability are just patently absurd. Okay, here are the facts, and you know this. Many of you don't write about it, but these are the facts, and they're undisputed. They broke the economy, and now they want to lecture to the American people about affordability.
You see, he's just a sociopath. It's lie after lie after lie. And a reporter asks him, MAGA Mike only took like 2 questions at this presser this morning. If you're going to do a healthcare plan, will it include federal bans on abortions? And will it restrict the ability of women to access reproductive care? And MAGA Mike essentially says, yes, it does. Here, play this clip.
Speaker Johnson, do you intend to advance pro-life provisions in your health care package, such as ID amendments for whatever you advance?
Well, look, it's an important principle. The Republicans always stand by the Hyde provisions. It's been a tradition in our law forever. We do believe in the sanctity of human life, and we think it's important that taxpayer dollars not fund abortion. I mean, this is a well-settled principle of ours. So this week, as we go forward, we're gonna do a lot of things on the floor, and we always keep our fundamental principles in mind.
Okay, now you have MAGA Republic. By the way, make sure you're subscribed. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Then you've got MAGA Republican Senator Joni Ernst. She's up there. She's for the MAGA Republican senator from Iowa. And she says, look, at the end of the day, she's not running again for re-election. But she goes, look, we have to thank Donald Trump for his message of optimism. Yeah, it's a message of fraud. Here, play this clip.
Affordability is important, and the president continues to stress that, not just with his message of optimism, but in the work that he is doing through the administration. So I feel very confident we're going to see the president out and about. We are going to bring those prices down for our consumers. And again, we will see victory when it comes to the election cycles next year.
All right. And voters see right through this. CNN did a great analysis of the continuing shift of Latino voters away from Trump and MAGA and back to the Democratic Party, and just frankly against these MAGA Republican candidates who are attacking them, who are rounding them up and putting them into concentration camps. It's not really a closed thing. It's like Latinos are like, you said you would only go after the criminals, and you said you supported us, but you're literally killing us. So we're not going to vote for the Republicans because the Republicans are killing us. And we saw in Miami, the Democrats won the mayor race there. Eileen Higgins, new mayor-elect of Miami, the first time in 30 years, Democrats reclaimed that mayor seat. And then I talked about a big victory in Georgia as well in a special election in House District 121. Take a look at how it's described here, this big shift from a massive shift of Latinos away from Trump. Play this clip.
Locality by locality by locality. What you see is these huge shifts in these heavily Hispanic neighborhoods of Miami against the Republican nominee from the Donald Trump baseline. And so to me, this is an encapsulation of what we see. We saw it in Arizona's 7th congressional district, right? That special election earlier this year. Again, a heavily Hispanic district. What we see is Democrats outperforming that 2024 baseline, which to me is so important because we see these national polls. You want, how is this actually going to impact things? And what we see is exactly what we saw last night. The first Democratic mayor of the great city of Miami since the birdcage era.
Since the birdcage era. Put that in a headline. So you have now Miami is going to be run by a Democrat. How many Republicans run big cities in America anymore?
Yeah, this to me is part of a longer, larger arc. And, you know, you just look at this. GOP mayors in the 50 largest cities. In 2017, it was about 14. Now with Higgins coming in, it's 7. It's 7. Donald Trump has been absolute kryptonite to Republicans who want to run major cities in the United States. There are very few. They are an endangered species.
That is fascinating.
And I think Senator Bernie Sanders just says it perfectly as well this morning. And I think it's maybe, this morning or last night he said this, where he goes, if this is an A+++ economy, as Donald Trump is saying it, what happens if it's a B or a C? Because the American people are suffering when people go out and do things. They know Trump's lying. When they see that their healthcare costs are rising 3 to 4 times higher, they know Trump's lying. Here, play this clip.
Well, Caitlin, if this is an A++ economy, God help us if we ever get to a B or a C. And he talks about he's lowering prices. Well, right now, all over this country, people are getting insurance notices that their premiums for the ACA are going to double, in some cases triple or quadruple. You know, Trump can lie all that he wants, but when people walk into a grocery store, they see the outrageous prices they're now paying. When housing costs all over this country are going up, when kids can't afford to go to college, when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, no, we do have an affordability crisis. I think the problem with Trump is he hangs out with his billionaire friends all of the time. And I got to admit, for his billionaire friends, he is in fact an A-plus president. They have never done as well as they are right now. They are getting richer and richer, while tens of millions of Americans struggle to put food on.
Whether you're planting now or later, Fast Growing Trees has everything you need to make your dream yard a reality, starting with the best quality and selection of plants delivered to your door. Fast Growing Trees is America's largest online nursery with over 1,600 unique trees and plants. They've been delivering trees and plants since 2005, so they know how to do it right. They have all the plants your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to get your dream yard. Order online and get plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days without ever leaving home. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy, ready to thrive in your yard. All plants and trees are locally grown in the US and cared for by experts before they ship to you. I have to say, I am obsessed with the lemon tree I got from Fast Growing Trees for my front yard. Every time I walk up to my house, it smells like fresh citrus and the lemons are incredibly flavorful. I'm not exactly a master gardener, but even for me, it was simple. The tree arrived healthy, the instructions were clear, and it's thriving. I saved a fortune not hiring a landscaper, and I still get to enjoy this beautiful living addition to my home every single day. This season, they have the best deals for your yard, including up to half off tons of plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off your next purchase using the code Meidas at checkout. That's 15% off your next purchase at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use Meidas to save today. MEIDAS.
And with all of this happening, what are the main Trump priorities? Like, what's he focused on? Like, in addition to taking away things and inflicting pain on the American, what just in the past 48 hours, they rolled out two new ideas. Number one, tourists to the United States, basically regardless of where the tourists come from, they have to submit, this is an actual plan that the Trump regime wants to implement, their social media history for the past 5 years have to be shared and analyzed. Like this, they don't do that in China. They don't do that in authoritarian regimes. If you want to travel to the US, this is the new Trump idea from Border Patrol and ICE, who's going to come in here and throw you in concentration camps. Like, that's what they do here. They're going to look through your social media to see if you said anything negative about Donald Trump or about the regime here. Just that's one of their ideas. Their other big idea that they keep on pushing is pull-up bars and gyms in airports so people can work out while they're in the airport. Like, if Doge were to ever actually be a real thing, wouldn't this be the type of thing that would be waste, fraud, and abuse? Like, what? You're doing $1 billion of freaking pull-up bars in airports? Like, what are you talking about? Just bring the prices down. When you go into an airport, no one can afford the food in the airport. When you go to an airport, no one can afford the flights anymore in the airport. You're cramped. The experience is terrible. The flights are delayed. The flight, every aspect of it, people are underpaid. But go ahead, talk to us about pull-up bars. Here, play this clip.
I want to commend Secretary Duffy and Secretary Kennedy for this initiative. You think the goal here is not for people to get sweaty in airports. Nobody wants to be sitting next to somebody smelly on an airplane. But
no sweating, Brian.
But, even micro workouts are valuable for humans, mini gyms. We just want to put in simple equipment that everyone can use that can encourage people in airports to get a little bit of movement, 5 minutes of movement here and there, and to create an atmosphere that's really friendly toward people working out.
And then Sean Duffy continues, it's really an issue of pull-up bars. Play this clip.
President Trump and I are working on that. By the way, just a quick note, Brian, we hired a project manager. In 5 minutes, Donald Trump saved us $200 million on that contract. He's remarkable. But as people travel through our skies, we want to have the most enjoyable experience for them. And we know that we have families and nursing mothers. Someone might want to come through and do a couple pull-ups. We're open to any ideas that airports have to make the experience better as Americans travel.
But I want you to pay attention to what went down also. This is very important because this is how this regime tries to divide us and pit us against each other. This is very important. So they bring in the HUD secretary responsible for like housing and urban development. His name is Scott Turner. And so the way they address the fact that Donald Trump has been a disaster on affordability, a disaster when it comes to housing, People can't afford their rent. People can't afford their housing. So what do they do here? Do they blame Trump's buddies, the private equity firms, who are the reason that housing prices are so high because they've bought all of the supply of housing so they could commoditize it and bundle it? So a new family who wants to buy a house, or just someone who wants to purchase a home, or first-time homeowners, you're competing against a billion-dollar private equity firm that's scooping up homes as part of their portfolio. It is a supply side issue. We need more supply of housing. Okay, that's what we need, to build more homes and make them cheaper. That's what needs to happen. But what they're going to do, and what they're doing now, is saying, no, it's the immigrants' fault. And what we need to do is, the immigrants are the ones who are harming housing. Here, play this clip.
But when you have over 12 million people coming over our borders unchecked, unvetted, this is straining our housing market from a supply standpoint, from an affordability standpoint. HUD just put out a report and found that between 2021 and 2024, the foreign-born population in our country in just 3 short years is 6 million people, which is the most in that period of time in American history. And so we cannot forego the thought that because of illegal immigration, because of people coming to our country, prices have risen, supply has been squeezed, but we're working very hard at HUD, along with the president and other leaders in the administration, to bring down the cost and raise the supply when they're doing it through interagencies. But we need the Fed to cut rates. We need to continue to deport illegals that are taking houses from the American people. So we're very intentional and focused about it at HUD and across the administration.
Yeah.
And they also talk about, like, well, the real issue here is, we're focused on the human trafficking and the sex trafficking and drug trafficking taking place in housing, because they want to make it an issue of crime to scare people and say the immigrants are creating crime, and that's the issue with housing. No, the issue is, we should be strong on crime. Let's be very clear. We should be strong on crime. Law and order is very important. But this Trump regime, you guys are pardoning the top drug traffickers who said, let's get the cocaine in the gringo's nose and kill him. You all are out there, like literally El Chapo's buddy. You're pardoning them. In terms of fraud, you're pardoning the biggest fraudsters, out there right now, and the biggest Ponzi schemers out there right now. So no, I mean, we know what you're doing, but here's what Turner says about the new crime hotline. They go to crime to try to scare you and divide people and make people try to vote against their own interests. Here, play this clip.
And that is the reason that you recently launched this new hotline for Americans to report any potential illegal migrant or criminal living in public housing, right? Your department finding foreign-born residents account for 60% of the growth in rental demand, Secretary?
Oh, yes, ma'am. You just showed that article. I'm glad you did, in New York and also in California. There's no coincidence that when you have unfettered access for illegals to come into your city, to come into your state, that you're going to have these problems with illegal immigration. 100% of the cause of rental growth in New York and California is due to illegal aliens coming into our country. But this hotline that you alluded to that we launched at HUD is through our Office of Inspector General. Maria, we care about the people that live in HUD-funded housing, in particular in our public housing authorities. Those families need to feel safe in their homes, safe in the properties that they're renting. And so we understand that it's hard to report things, but we have a vehicle now with our HUD crime hotline for people to report any sex trafficking, drug trafficking, illegal aliens, illicit things going on, nefarious activity. And I want people to understand this is confidential. You can do it without fear, because we want to know what's going on in public housing authorities so we can root out crime, root out illegals, and serve the American people and the American people only.
And you also
Finally, just show you this right here from this morning. Pope Leo XIV gets it. And he was asked a question about Ukraine. And one of the things that he said is that he says it's very clear to him that statements from Donald Trump are trying to break apart America's longstanding alliance with Europe. And he's saying that Trump wants to break up the American alliance with Europe. And he goes, Trump's the president of the United States, so, he can say or do what he wants, but that would be a very unfortunate turn of events. You see the Pope calling Donald Trump out. Play this clip.
What do you think about Trump's peace plan for Ukraine? Do you think it's fair?
I'd rather not comment on that. I haven't read the whole thing. I think, unfortunately, some of parts of it that I have seen make a huge change in what was for many, many years a true alliance between Europe and the United States. The remarks that are made about Europe, also in interviews recently, I think are trying to break apart what I think needs to be a very important alliance today and in the future. So it's a program that President Trump and his advisors put together. He's the President of the United States, has a right to do that. It has a number of things in it that I think, while perhaps many people in the United States would be in agreement, I think many others would see things in a different way.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.